So there's our painting. We're doing a pretty good job so far. Let's analyze what we've got. We've got our blue for our sky. We got our clouds and our orange. I think the sun could be a little yellower, so I'm just going to take a little bit of really, really thin yellow, and I'm going to paint a little bit of yellow in here for the sun. And maybe while we're at it, we could put a little bit of yellow in the lake where it is not brown. So I'm just touching the nice light areas so that it gets quite bright. A little bit of yellow, a little bit of dabbing will keep it tinted to a nice glow. Still there, but very minimal. Okay, let's talk about the foreground. In my picture, it looks very purpley. If I remember correct, we used burnt sienna and violet. So let's grab our burnt sienna on one corner of our mixing area, and let's grab our violet in the other corner. And in between, I'm going to mix these so that I have browns in between here. A little bit of violet. So I have a variety, just like I do on my paper here, I have it now on my palette. Now, we're going to use a surprise brush. We're going to use a craft brush that's called a stencil brush. This, when dipped in the paint and applied to the paper, makes random brush marks. We're going to just cover this area with random color. Then we'll go in with our knife and scrape out some rocks. This is a quick way of just getting in color. And there's a variety of browns and darks in there. Now, our knife comes in handy. So we're going to use our knife very flat, and we're going to scrape out the rocks. The paper needs to be damp, not too wet, so that you can actually scrape the rocks out. So we're scraping in rocks, and it's not about too many rocks. This is more about the sunset, so let's not get carried away and make this picture about rocks. That's a very simple way of putting in rocks. And while it's damp, you can just scrape the paint off. Now, over here we still have our dark that we used on our ripples. So I'm going to take some of that, and I'm just going to anchor these rocks with a few dabs of black that we mixed. And that's going to create that shadow on the ground that the rocks are creating. And that helps the rocks show up by putting that dark next to the rocks. Let's have a closer look. And you can see that it's still shiny. It's brown here, but dark down here underneath the rocks. Now, fun part, the trees. Let's establish where our trees are first. It would not hurt to turn your paper so that you can dab in your trees, and we still have our pencil underneath here to show us how high to dab. And I'm extending the line from the ones I've got in the water, so I'm connecting to that. so that I know that this line is reflected below. So I'm continuing the line up. So there are our tree trunks. Now, you can use your round brush in the black, and you can go in here and start at the tree trunk and dab little bits back and forth. This whole thing is about the sunset and the trees, so we want to spend quite some time getting these trees in. And these go in the picture right down into the water. You don't see the shoreline over here. So once I have my tips of my trees in, little dots and little zigzags, simply back and forth, back and forth. Get the tips, all the tips of your trees in delicately, because then we're going to do the lower part with a bigger brush and quicker. But we need this definitely defined, and this is the area that is up against the sky that's making this whole painting very interesting. Now my picture has a big tall tree on this side, which is going to help frame the picture. So I'm going to make this tree larger, and I'm leaving lots of orange peeking through the tree branches. And I'm looking at my picture to see where the trees are sitting, how big are they, how small are they, how high are they, and then I can create my own forest the way that pleases me. Now, in your picture, you have a lot of orange and blue showing through, so we don't want to get heavy-handed with too much color there. So I'm going to switch back to my chisel brush here, making my black because I ran out. And I'm going to use this brush on his chisel edge, and I'm going to dab back and forth, paying attention to how much orange or sky is peeking through. Let's fold our paper, and I can see that I need heavier paint down here at the bottom as it goes into the lake. It's really dark down in here, and there's not much light showing through until I get there. There's no light on the outside edge. There's a big heavy tree here with just the orange in this little area, and there's quite a bit of orange peeking through this tree that's on the outside edge. It's very dark in the water, and I can play with that until I get what I think looks like that. If I think it needs a little darker in here, I look at my picture and say, do I have too much orange? If you don't have enough, then you're in trouble. We should have left it from the beginning, though that can get you into trouble. It would be wise to start over with that information and try to save some orange for the next time. So there is our little sunset from beginning to end. I'm going to go back in with some black, and I'm just going to do the edge of some of the rocks that might have faded out on me. I didn't get enough black in here next to these rocks, so I can touch up some rocks that need a little more shadow. And there is our little painting from start to finish. Please join us for more videos in the future. Looking forward to giving you some more tips. Thank you.